truth and preservation of our soul shine. I can feel it, yours and mine. Close your eyes and witness it inside. In your bones, you will know. Trust and let go, and let it flow.
Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. Today I have with me Kavita Sahai, who amazing, beautiful soul. And among other things, she's the founder and CEO of Vibestribe. And we just wanted to start press record and start the conversation. So I want to thank you so much for being a guest. And I want to ask you about your journey.
Oh, well, thank you, Sophia, for having me. I really appreciate being here. You know, my journey, I feel like there's so many layers, but my spiritual journey really really started with and I'm Hindu, but it started with a Jewish lady in a little yoga studio where
Love it.
I felt that she really made me understand this idea of oneness with the universe and this spiritual feeling and really tuning in to love. Like it really felt really hippy dippy to me at the time when, you know, I would hear people talk about it, but it's like it takes that one person's perspective to kind of change. And then through that, I started to seek out a lot of different spiritual teachers, but it sort of finally clicked, like something. And maybe it's because in yoga, you have to slow down and breathe enough to then receive. That's imagery. You're not scrolling on a cell phone, like you actually, you know, somebody has your undivided attention while you're moving energy through the body. And so it's actually, I think, a great time to hear something. And I think that is sort of what kicked it off. And then once it was ignited, it felt like I just wanted to learn about everything. And so I, you know, got certified in yoga amongst many different modalities. I dove really deep into human design. And just really spent a lot more time with meditation, which for me was a huge shift because before that I couldn't probably sit still for 2 minutes. And so it really was this cool, you know, journey into learning and rediscovering myself.
I love that because it is an unpeeling of the layers. I knew I came in fully awake, and I remember the day I chose to disconnect myself because I grew up in Connecticut in the 70s and 80s, and you know, being a spiritual kid in Fairfield County, Connecticut, gets you institutionalized. So I kind of repressed it because I didn't have anyone to talk to at the time. I didn't know how to navigate my psychic abilities. And even though my intuition has never left me, I remember the conscious choice to be like, I can't do this right now. And so it's been this path of uncovering the layers and remembering that divine self that I am, as we all are.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to know that you came in already sort of evolved.
Excuse me.
No, that's okay. I know it's definitely one of those things for me was it deepened my connection also to other beings, which I think is really, really an important part of the spiritual journey. And I'm sure that it felt very alone when you don't feel like there's someone you can share your gifts with in a certain time period.
Yeah, because it's this space of, you know, even though you're connected because others aren't, you question yourself.
Absolutely.
And so to have that space where I'm remembering more, and because I had this, yeah, you know, last night and this morning, powerful, very powerful full moon, very powerful. It was up at 2 a.m, feeling aspects of myself that I hadn't fully acknowledged before.
Yeah.
And so all morning long, the aspect of me that is Kuan Yin has been coming in and just being so gentle. And I want to differentiate that because all the gods and goddesses that are in the pantheon of the world are aspects of us. Of course, I have a dog that wants to play with me right now. And she's halfway through the divine as well.
That's right. That's right. Uh, yeah, no, I think it's powerful. It's powerful how connected we are to the universe, to the earth, to each other. And then when we can pick up on these subtle shifts, it can really affect our energy. And I think for me, that's what also really took me down this path, is I kind of said, I'm tired of feeling meh, I
Mhm.
want to feel magical.
Yeah.
And the goal is no longer how successful can you be? The goal is how magical and amazing can you feel?
Mm.
That
Yeah.
shift is sort of what started Vibestribe, and it sort of was my shift of perspective from, checking all the boxes of, get to the top school, get your master's, get the job, get the office, get the all the things,
Yeah.
to no, actually, I just want to feel magical and amazing. Like, that's actually the goal.
Yeah. That
Um,
is such a huge shift in our,
yeah,
especially in our culture. Oh my
it
gosh.
is. It is.
Like, what do you mean you want to feel amazing? You're supposed to be making six figures. It's like, well, yeah, and I want to feel amazing because what's it's not an either or,
Have to be
but
exactly.
like feeling is the whole thing. Like if you're
Yeah,
not,
although I'll tell you, in the moment, it did feel like an either or, and I still chose it.
Mm,
Because I was in a position where I wasn't going to be homeless if I chose it, but I just sort of went all in, feeling like this is my shift of goal. This is what my being feels called to. It feels called to feel amazing and to be
mm,
magical, and no longer feel drained and stuck, though successful by the modern um, definition of what it was. And through that shift, I was like, wow, this is so much better. And then you realize through that, in that place and in that calm, you can find a calling to do something that then, can bring you, so that it is not an either or, it's a both. You can have, you can
right. No,
have
I
both.
agree. Sorry, I just looked over and she was like, I'm going to tug your arm off.
Right. Like, just like, love me. I need that.
Because I'm a pity and I have strong teeth. Strong jaw, yay. So what brought you into like co-creating this space for Vibestribe? Like what was the inspiration? Is that quiet, like what is calling to me? Because I've had that before. It's like, what's the next step? What's the expansion of the me that I am into more than what I think I am?
Yeah, I think it came to once I was feeling good, once I finally kind of fixed things in my health through all these different modalities I had learned, I was like, okay, now I feel great. What am I doing with this energy? Right? Now that I feel amazing and vibrant and creative, and I'm coming from this place of joy, what am I going to do with all of this? And I thought, well, I want to bring other women along so that they too can feel this. And I felt like for me, it was such a disjointed, difficult journey. And I thought, what if people could do it in community? Um, and it seemed to me women, especially in midlife, is when they started to have this sort of switching. And they say they call it the midlife crisis, but like in astrology, it's just because your stars are exactly opposite. And so it's really just this shifting and emerging of who you were into this next version. And so it felt like the perfect space to sort of say, hey, like, women in midlife, come learn these different modalities, because there's no one fit all model, right? What
Right.
running might work for you, meditation might, I don't know what the secret thing is going to be, but come learn all the different things that women have been doing for years, and do it in community and see what works best for you, so that you too can feel magical and amazing and joyful to then create whatever you were meant to create in this next phase.
I love that because like that there's an illusion that like we hit a certain age and we stop for some reason. And I had a former um, neighbor and she started painting at 50 and she
Wow.
was in her 80s when I met her and she had beautiful work. And I was like, wow, you started at 50. And she's like, yeah, I just felt like it. I'm like, that's so beautiful because like it's the testament to like how when we open ourselves up instead of like collapsing on that, like when my dad retired, he had no idea what to do with himself.
Great.
And that contrast between him and my neighbor who was like, no, I'm thriving. I want to keep thriving because I want to keep learning. I want to keep expanding. And it was just that speaks to me much more than the surrender of despair.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that there was so much misinformation about what was happening to women in their bodies when they got this feeling of anxiety and overwhelm. And it was like, we never taught that it's actually this time to take space, to,
Mhm.
to really center and ground yourself. A lot more self-care is required. But through that process is this beautiful emergence of whatever creative energy that you want to pursue. It's not like you're ending your career or ending motherhood, or it's not the end, it's actually like the beginning of this other beautiful journey. And so like, how do you prepare yourself and get into that space of mind, body, and soul to take?
Oh, I love that because it is that space of, like, in my own journey, self-care is not an option.
Yeah.
Not. And so I look at the amount of supplements I take. I have progesterone. I do all the things because my body is asking for it. And then I can thrive. And then on the nights like last night where I slept maybe 3 hours, um, it's, that's beautiful too, because it's just, yes, you can have your toy. It's this beautiful space of, now I get to be really present with myself, and the dog is benefiting from it because I'm being so gentle. But it's like, how do I be gentle with myself because my body is demanding it in this moment while I'm having a conversation? Because that's mastery. That's how we show up, because when we're depleted, we can't do anything.
Right. Yeah, that's why to me the first step, and it kind of happened naturally because I hit such the wall, but it was like, I'm just going to shift, the priority. And I didn't have a purpose at that particular juncture. I wasn't like, oh, I know that this is what I want to do. I was just like, okay, well, how about I just work on me feeling amazing and
Yeah.
joyous? Like,
Yeah.
what would that look like and feel? And then once I was there, things became a lot clearer. I even
Mm.
tell my kids, like they're going through finals right now and they're, they get really nervous. And I was like, you're never going to think straight or get the right answers in that state of mind. Like you have to come to a calmer state of mind. Just do a little bit of breath work beforehand. But really that's, to me, in midlife, especially, just a part of your everyday. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
have to prepare a little bit for the day every day. Like every day is finals day.
I love that, because like that state, I can tell if I don't do my morning practices, I'm useless.
Same,
And
same.
it's just this, well, how can I show up for myself? And like right now I'm in Oregon, and so it's berry season. And
Okay.
so berries are part of my morning routine. I just get my strawberries every morning, and that's part of the nourishment that my body needs. And it's funny because the dog I'm sitting with right now, she wanted to see what I was eating, so I gave her a strawberry. She was like,
Yeah.
but it is that balance of, and I noticed it throughout the day. If I ground every couple hours, I'm great. If I
Yeah.
don't ground, something's off.
No, same. And especially in today's environment, with it being so turbulent, like God forbid you watch the news, um, you have to ground.
Yeah, I don't, because I've been guided not to.
I don't either, but every so often something will somehow show up my way. And I think it's just one of those things where I have to remember in those moments.
Yeah.
But I always, say it's only because I practice it that I can use it in those moments. You
Mm.
can't just never do breath work. And then as you're like hype, be like, what was that? What was that like? Box breathing. But if you practice it, just the act of even doing a mudra will calm you because your body will immediately associate it. And I think those are the tools that I wish to share, that like it can be that simple as well.
Mhm. No, I agree with that. I have a practice. I learned from a friend that we have 4 diaphragms.
Mhm.
The first is when we have our eyes in peripheral. Second one is when we swallow. Third is the actual diaphragm, and fourth is when we squeeze our bladder. Like, when we're trying to keep ourselves from peeing. I practice that so much that when I do it, let me see if I can. Okay, you're gonna hear a difference in my voice because my body knows that I just activated my parasympathetic mode.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? By the way, also great to do before you eat for digestion.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, and I actually have hot water that I drink because that's another thing. Like my body prefers to drink hot water, even in the summer, because it helps with my digestion. So it's like little and big tips all combined. It's not just one thing.
That's right. Yeah. No, I think and again, different for everyone. So I think it's the beauty. I always say approach it with curiosity, right? Like,
Mm.
is this going to make me feel magical? I don't know. We will see.
Or is this going to calm my nervous system down? Or
Right.
is this going to just like
Exactly.
bring me into coherence?
Yeah.
And then,
Exactly. It's always like, to me, it's energy. It's either growing or shrinking, right? And I'm always looking. I'm like, did what I try illuminate or shrink? Like what was it? And do more of what illuminates.
oh yeah, yeah. I did something very silly yesterday. I made my first attempt at making marshmallows just because I
Oh,
wanted to. I have marshmallow root and I have gelatin. The recipe, followed the recipe because I'm a baker, I'm a cook, and it like the recipe, I think it was mistyped because it asked for a quarter of a cup of gelatin as opposed to like 2 tablespoons. And
wow.
it looked like I yeah, this is not gonna work. So because I'm so good at what I mean, I've been baking since I was 4, so I know. I was like, yeah, I just failed. It's okay. It wasn't like a judgment. It was like that was just like a badly written recipe, and that has nothing to do with me. But I was just so amused by the curiosity because that was part of it. It's like I've never made this before. Let's try. And
Right.
then the lack of judgment for like the epic failure that it became.
Right. Right. We have to allow ourselves to fail, right? Like that's a part of the journey and just kind of laugh and be like, well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
I can tell you I've never tried to make marshmallows, but I'm also not a baker. So
It's probably not that hard. I just don't know.
probably not,
But
yeah,
but it's the play, is that state of curiosity, that state of play,
exactly.
and the forgiveness that, when you hear the judgment come in, because that's poof, judgment can be so debilitating.
Yeah, no, I really have to catch it. And now I have key phrases. So I know, because if you write it down and you think about it for some time, you'll notice it's the same things that you're judging yourself for.
Mhm.
Like why is this time going to be different or what,
Right.
So I had to
Yeah.
just create counter phrases that I, again, had to practice.
Mm,
Second the thought comes into the mind, it's like, no, it's different because I'm different.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's
That's
the,
beautiful. Yeah, like anything you can do to like catch the things. I have a tendency to get subconscious things coming up in my consciousness 2, 3 in the morning.
oh man,
Yeah. No.
channels are open.
Yeah. Liver time and the Chinese clock is best time. And so this morning when I was feeling into it, it was an awareness that, not that I'm judging myself now, but it was an awareness because I'm highly sensitive slash Palladian slash neurodivergent, however you want to call it. Uh,
Right.
and I've been disassociating myself. Not now, but like I have in my past in times when I didn't know how to process the information or the trauma. And so all of them came in this morning. And I was just in such a state of gratitude, forgiveness, and just compassion for myself because I didn't have the tools before. So it's unwinding now, which is beautiful too. I have many, many tools at my disposal, which is helping. Um, but to be in that state, like instead of judging myself for the behavior I did, it's like I didn't know it. Like 10 years old, how would I have known how to process trauma at 10? I didn't, especially like because my parents didn't. They never processed trauma. So, the fact that we're living in this time of consciousness where we get all of these tools, it's it's such a gift.
Such a gift. It's such a gift. Yeah, no, I mean, we both grew up in a time when it was always like, just don't cry, just don't cry. Block it. So, so yeah, there's a lot of unwinding and there's a lot of, but fortunately we can do better for the next generation and for ourselves. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the story anymore.
Mhm. No, I remember when I got divorced in 2000, and I went to visit my parents, and I just was crying just to release. And my dad's like, "Why are you crying so much?" I'm like, "Well, Dad, I just got divorced," and it's like it's a thing. And so I'm leaning on him because I'm like, I just need that support.
Yeah.
He couldn't take it, and he just got up and left. I'm like, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
But I was able to cry for myself anyways. But it was just like, wow, that's like such an adverse response.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So growing up, my parents always told me not to cry. Like it was always like, don't cry, don't cry. Like it was like they'd panic, like, don't cry. Right. So like it became a very like quick reaction. And so then I have a child who's highly sensitive and
Mhm.
to the world and definitely a lot of crying. And so I remember it was actually in this yoga teacher training. I asked someone who was also a crier. I was like, what could your parents do to support you? Like, what is the thing? And she's like, just be there. Just sit
Mm,
with it with me. And it's funny because as I started to do that, I noticed this shift where it wasn't, they wouldn't cry as long. It's like,
mm.
like I was like, oh yeah, you just needed me here. You didn't need to say anything. You didn't need me to like do anything.
Yeah,
Literally the presence of a release.
because that holding space is so, whew,
Hold space for people.
I can process so much more when I have somebody holding space for me.
100%. And I think it's one of those amazing things where I was like, oh wow, that's right. That is, and then you realize that's what you need yourself. You're like, oh, I just need, and once you realize it, you can ask, right? Just
Ah.
actually all I need you to do is sit here and hold space. That's it.
Not that
Which
big of
isn't, that's it. Like it's nothing. It is something for the other person too, but that's what you need. It's what you need.
oh yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I've seen so many because I'm a very good listener. I've gotten stories I don't need to know about from people for most of my life. And so now I have more of a filter where I'm like, I don't need to know your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I also recognize that that's such a gift for somebody to just like release.
Yeah.
Because we're not usually heard.
Correct. Or understood
Yeah.
or yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. It's so important for our emotional health.
Mhm. And it's not just exclusive to humans because this pity has had trauma. Um, and so as I'm noticing her and I'm reflecting my energy with her, I'm amazed at how much she shifted just by showing up for her like I show up for humans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think energy can be transient amongst all beings, all
Yeah.
living. Right? They do the test with flowers when you're in elementary school, right? You speak nicely to some and you don't to the others, and the ones that you speak nicely to, somehow they grow better. And again, it's that energetic transfer.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you explain that to people um, who are unfamiliar with it?
Mm. The transfer of energy.
Yeah.
I find that even when people are unfamiliar, I always say, like, have you ever walked in a room and felt the excitement and felt like your energy grow? Or have you ever walked in a room with people and you're just like, ugh, and you kind of
Mhm.
this energy? I was like, that to me is the easiest way to visualize or really feel, because everyone's been with people where they're like, yeah, like I felt more energetic. Or sometimes people even say, like, if you walk in New York City and it's 10 o'clock and normally you'd be sleeping, but there you're alive, and why is that? And what is that energetic feeling you're feeling, right? Especially in your 20s, not so much maybe now, but time it really energizes you. um, but I feel like most people have experienced where even though they were stable, they would walk into a situation or a room or be with a person and their energy would either be lifted or have the opposite effect. And so to me, I'm like, that is the transfer.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I'm getting the eyes of like, you're ignoring me.
Oh.
How could you possibly ignore me? Um, but yeah, it's fascinating because when I've had discussions, because one of the gifts I have is I facilitate body talk / energy healing sessions with animals.
Oh.
And when I try to explain that to some people, they're like, so wait a minute, how do you do this? I'm like, I tap into their consciousness and they tell me what they need, and I'm just the facilitator for it. I just happen to be open enough to be able to do it. And you know, it's so fascinating for people to like get, oh, wait a minute, we're not the only ones that are sentient.
Right. Well, it's like people who have animals know that when you're nervous or you're sad, your animal picks up on it. Your dog will come to you. Like they can definitely sense all of these shifts.
Oh yeah, yeah, they definitely do. And I'm feeling her impatience with me because
Yes.
but she also knows, I've said to her a couple times today, I'm like, I do not have the capacity to do what you want me to do today. So you got to meet me halfway because I'm in the Kuan Yin energy and that's where I'm at. And she's like, I never experienced that before. What is that? I'm like, oh, it's really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's funny. It's yeah, look, we're all energetic beings, and I think the job is to bring up our vibration so that those around us can benefit, and of course we'll benefit as well from that. And so again, I just say with every self-care modality, with everything we do, can we just be more aware of, again, are we illuminating or shrinking?
Yeah, having that level of awareness of like just the subtleties, like I consider like going to the grocery store an event,
Yeah.
because there's so many different energies there. And just knowing that I'm as sensitive as I am to acknowledge that, and allow myself the time to, I don't want to say recuperate, but like recalibrate myself. And it's interesting because I don't, spending time with her is akin to spending time with a friend, is akin to going to the grocery store. It's like they're all
Yeah.
interactions. And I've learned this over the past few months, how I like most of my time quiet. And that's just how I navigate the world. And so to honor that balance of the interactions with the quiet, it's a fascinating journey.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fun. And I think what's cool is once I tell people sometimes make energy diaries of like their day. So you start with every interaction, who you said good morning to, like where, what you did, made coffee, made breakfast, like all the things. And again, just see if you can notice subtle shifts. And then if you can notice like little dips, like maybe, the order in which you did something, like, again, just approaching it with that curiosity of what can we change around or what can we do differently? For example, I noticed that my energy did drop after going to grocery stores. And so I just started to Instacart everything because to me, that was worth saving my energy for that. So again, I think it's just this optimization period.
I love that the document, because I journal every day, but I haven't ever done like a play-by-play journal. And to catch the highs and lows is, I'm going to try that just to notice where I show up and where I don't, and how I can, manage, because I get to have two other guests today right after you.
Wow.
So I'm doing podcasts from now until 3. And that's fine. But how do I replenish myself in between? While I have a very fussy puppy at the same time. And it really is just noticing and honoring and paying attention to what I need in every moment. And that's an interesting balance, because we've been taught, especially women, people pleasing is probably one of the deepest programs we have.
Wow.
And because it's that natural nurturing thing, but it's been distorted into people pleasing.
That's right.
So to still take care of yourself while balancing that it's a challenging lesson.
It is. And that's why it's great to just pay attention to how you're feeling, not necessarily how did they feel when you said hello or made breakfast for them or,
Yeah. And
like,
that's
did I enjoy that or did I not, and then that's I have found it to be a worthwhile exercise for sure.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I remember a few years ago, I had a friend who took high doses of marijuana. And one day had this awareness that like my energy was dropping and I was tired from spending time with him.
Mm.
And the plant came into my consciousness and said, anytime you spend time with him when he's stoned, your
Mhm.
frequency drops. And I was like, wow. And so I told him that. He's like, you're making me choose. I'm like, nope, I would never make you choose. I'm choosing myself, and you can do what you want with that, but I'm choosing myself. And I was amazed at how reactive he was to it,
Mhm.
because like he had a perception that I was just gonna go along with whatever he wanted.
Right.
And it was like, well, I don't have to. And that's so empowering for self and so disorienting for those who aren't used to people choosing themselves.
Well, yeah, because women, again, like you said, have been programmed not to. And so when we do, they're like, what?
What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how have you seen that shift in your relationships, like as you've chosen yourself more often?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because, you know, I think that you choose yourself. I choose myself in relationships, but I also, I have also had people where they're like, well, I'm putting a boundary because that person doesn't make me feel good. And I think, and this is just my own personal belief. I think there are people that are in our lives and connected. Maybe it's elderly parents, maybe it's, some kind of a disabled relative, whatever it is, that energetically might not illuminate us. However, I do feel that we have some duty to help facilitate a life for them. That makes any sense. And so I would say I try to be mindful that I'm always in a positive of illumination throughout. But
Mhm.
that's not to say I cut people out just because they're necessarily not bringing me the energy I need. I just might limit how much, I'm spending, or how I'm spending time with them, or where I'm spending time with them, right? Like those people I think are great to go meet in nature somewhere.
I completely get that. I completely get that. Like I've had so many people in my life that are amazing teachers,
Yes.
and I'm grateful for all the lessons I've learned through them, and I don't really need to spend time with them anymore.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you learn the lesson you need to learn from the person and what they're there. And then sometimes, it's there to teach you. I feel like there's definitely people in my life that are here to teach me patience. And that's okay, right? Because I also think that it's your mindset around it, right? So are the words charging you in the, are you receiving them, or are you understanding why they're being said, right? There's a little bit, I think, of that growing that can happen. That's also great too.
Yeah. I saw her walking towards the door and I'm like, okay, do I need to put So I want to talk to you a little bit more about Vibestribe. So what was the I mean, I know what the inspiration is, but what is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a platform for women in midlife. It's a subscription, so it's for members. I tried to make it really affordable, so it's $24.95 a month, and through that you get access to hundreds of different classes and modules around different journeys. So whether that's yoga, chair yoga, meditation, self-love journey. We have an Ayurvedic doctor teaching about anti-inflammation, feng shui. So it's really all these different modalities so that you can spend time playing. And every month we kind of focus on one, and then we meet live as a group. And so, and that call is open to even non-members. So if anybody wants to join, they can sign up on the website, join our live event, and we'll do coaching. And then again, you get to meet people that are like-minded in going through the same stage of age, if you will.
I love that.
And that way you can grow together, and you can see and you can test, like, does whatever we're talking about, like this month we're talking about metabolic health, so it's around a lot nutrition. So you just see if it resonates, and if it resonates, you keep it and hopefully get some little magic that helps you feel better. And then if not, you can explore something else.
I love that. Yeah, because having that that community right now is so important.
Yeah.
I'm part of a drum circle in Bend when I go to Bend, and there's usually 50 to 70 women drumming together.
That's amazing.
It is so magical because we're all in that space of co-creation. And I know with each person I drum over, because we have two rugs that we lay on if you want to be healed, each person gets a different beat from me.
Oh,
I'm tuning into what they need. And so it's just that sense of community. Like, we have all different walks of life, and it doesn't matter,
right.
because that space of co-creation is so much more magical than anything that could separate us.
Right. Right. I mean, I've lived in different countries and seen all kinds of different people. And at the end, we're all the same. We're all looking for the same thing. We all need the same thing. And connecting in community is one of the biggest parts of that. So, yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I'm just going to ask you one final question, and that is, how do people find you?
The best way is on vibestribe.co, the website. And I'm always at the live events. So would love to meet live with anyone that wants to join.
Thank you so much for your time, for your conversation, for your beingness in the world at this time in consciousness with me. I so appreciate you, sister.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
You're welcome.